What is up, Fanatics? It's 8 p.m. Mountain Time, and that means another episode of Home Theater Fanatics Live. Tonight is episode 117, and we have I usually say a great episode. Well, this one's going to be super cool and awesome episode because we're going to talk about something that I am particularly interested in, and that's the mashup between gaming and audiophile audio and headphones and all that kind of stuff. And here to talk about that, we've got Vic and Mike from VZR Audio. Welcome, guys. How are you?
Oh, we're doing
A-okay. Thank you for inviting us.
Oh, absolutely. Glad to have you on. So you guys, I think you're like the machine behind VZR Audio, right? You're the masterminds that kind of puppeteer everything and make sure it's created and successful and has products and all that kind of stuff. So you're the team?
Yes, we're behind the curtains working away. So Vic and myself founded VZR, and so Vic is CEO, and I'm a co-founder and basically lead the product development with Vic. And we're excited to be here. Thanks for having us.
Awesome. Glad to have you. So maybe a good spot to start is to talk a little bit about the brand and your products, right? What is the idea behind the company, and what problem are you trying to solve?
It's a great question. I'll take a stab at it, and then Vic will definitely want to talk about all the cool stuff he's been doing. So we're an audio focused company. We sort of looked each other in the eye, and when we sat down, we wanted to do something. We realized we both have a very huge passion for audio. I come up from a production background. Vic comes from a product development background, doing some amazing things, which he'll get to. And, we, at the time, actually, when we started the company, we were looking at virtual reality. Virtual reality was sort of making a big, re-entry into the world, if you will. And it was around 2014, we sort of sat down together and we were looking at ways of, or at least investigating, hey, let's see what's interesting with this space. And we were, talking and, over a period of several months, we realized, something about the audio, in particular with virtual reality, sound is absolutely critical. There's this concept of presence when you're dealing with virtual reality. And what that means is, you need to feel like you have that suspension of disbelief where you feel like all of a sudden you're not wearing goggles, you're not wearing headphones. And there's some technology that allows that to happen. And so we found, believe it or not, that through our tests, that headphones can actually affect that experience. So you have a very poor set of headphones, it can actually affect the experience greatly. And I'll give you an example. Some of the built-in audio on some of these headsets do a really good job of, let's say, high frequency reproduction or mids or whatever. And then, but when it gets to like lows and low mids, it's just gone. I'll give you an example. I tried a particular demo that had like a T-Rex or something, a really big, huge creature, and all of a sudden the suspension of disbelief was gone because I wasn't getting that low-end rumble. I wasn't getting that low-end, those critical frequencies that were basically fooling my brain into believing I was there. I wasn't. And so that was like that aha moment. It's like, wow, the headphones can actually affect things. Then we realized there are things like accurate placement of sound around you are also affected by things like frequency response, phase response, things like that. So, and I'll let sort of Vic kind of come in here and talk about it. But that was sort of our like moment of like, wait a minute, let's see if we can investigate this and see if we could do something about it.
Right on.
Yeah. So just taking off where Mike left off there. One of the things that we were investigating is we knew that the audio just didn't match up with the video experience. Maybe some of you have had the fortune to listen to watch an Oculus demo, and we listened to the audio, and it was disappointing actually, not to get the same feeling that we were seeing. So what we wanted to do is develop a headphone that as Mike was saying, you never suspend disbelief that you're wearing headphones with many products out there. So we wanted something that really brought you to the event, and that you're listening more to speakers than you are headphones. I think everybody's has the experience of wearing headphones, and you get the headphone sound. I mean, it's just, you don't expect a lot. I think the more expensive the headphone was getting, smoother top end, a little bit more low end, a little bit better mid range, but it's still a lot of sound coming, left and right, very heavily panned, not a lot of imaging, nothing coming in front of you. It's all just in between your head and in between the ears. So, yeah, we are looking at this thing, and how do we get to a price point? What do we have to do to build a product that is affordable, that really gives you high-end sound? And high-end sound doesn't necessarily have to be $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. And so we explored all the options there, and I just thought I'd mention that. So I'll go back to you.
Yeah. So just a few comments. So, I do a lot of content around home theater and 2-channel and audiophile stuff. But, if you go back, I've got, a bunch of videos around the Oculus Rift and the Rift S and PC gaming and build and stuff like that. And for me, I've never had what I would consider to be a satisfactory experience with headphones of any kind when gaming, compared to, having surround sound with, subwoofers under your feet when you're playing games. Because, when you're playing the first person shooter kind of stuff, you, at this point in the development of games, you need to be able to use those audible cues to know, okay, there's a person above me, one level up, and another one that's 2 stories up, and then there's somebody over here outside of this door on the other side of the glass, but there's somebody over here that's standing in a doorway that's open, right? And you need to be able to pick up all that stuff with your ears. And I haven't had that convincing, compelling experience with a set of headphones to this point. And, I've tried a bunch of stuff, the gamer headphones, which usually are not that super awesome, and then you move into stuff like Hi-Fi Man, audiophile stuff, and go up and down there, the magnetic planers with the open back, and, and they sound great, but, they don't, and they can image kind of from a stereo point of view, but not really from there's something up here and then I'm standing on top of somebody down there. So this technology that you're talking about, is really exciting to me, because I would love to be able to have something that approximates that speaker experience, but in headphones, especially with dynamic closeback, because then, I don't bother people anymore, right? Then my wife's like, turn it down, the kids are sleeping, all that kind of stuff, right? So yeah, I'm really excited by the prospect of what you guys are looking or have brought to the market. Now let's talk a little bit about where you're at. So the company's been around for how long, and what's available or pre-order, or what's that looking like?
Yeah, so we actually formed the company several years ago, actually back in 2014. And at that time, I was explaining earlier, we were investigating VR, but we decided to pivot and actually focus on building headsets a few years later.
Right.
So we really kicked things into gear around 2018. And Vic basically was working on some R&D and developed some IP, and and the patent that led to the patent of which we're going to get into some of the technology that we developed. And now where we are currently is we announced the product, what we were actually doing, because we were operating in stealth mode up until February of this year. And then last week, actually, 8 days ago, we announced that we are taking pre-orders. And at this
that's
point,
cool.
Yeah, exactly. So you can actually go right now to our website, vzraudio.com, and actually pre-order the headset, what we call the VZR Model 1. And this is our first headset, and I'm actually wearing it right now. You're hearing the audio coming out of my mic, Vic, as well. And so
the mic is rather good too.
Thank you.
From a microphone point of view,
Yeah.
I've heard mics that are just atrocious, but no, you sound nice.
And that's the thing is, and we'll sort of get to our philosophy. We decided to, leave nothing unturned when it comes to the audio. But we'll get to that, but I just wanted to mention, so we're focused on manufacturing right now. We're anticipating actually receiving product and delivering to the pre-orders, to the folks that pre-ordered at the end of July. So around July 29th actually is the target date we're shooting at. So that's where we're at currently.
Right on. So it sounds like you're probably a little more than a month out on getting shipping started to get to distribution, and then from there,
Exactly,
folks will be able to pick. That's super exciting. I mean, it's right here.
Exactly.
And do you still have room in the pre-order for more folks to jump in before you guys run out of ability to fulfill those in this first round?
We have a limited quantity, but yes, we do actually. So we are definitely we made sure that we didn't want to pre-order, put out a pre-order, and then have people instantly gone within 24 hours. We wanted to get
that would have been cool though, right?
It would have been cool, but we wanted to get this in the hands of folks, so not bum them out that they have to wait longer. So.
That's cool. So so for everybody watching, I don't have the link in the comment section for the video in YouTube yet, but I will put that up there. I think it's actually commented, but I'll put it into the video notes so it's easy to find and you don't have to go digging for it. But I'll put a link up to the webpage and everything else. But it's pretty easy. vzraudio.com, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct. vzraudio.com.
Correct.
Let me just pull this up real quick.
Victor Zebra Radio audio.com.
Victor Zebra. Nice. So and that will when you get there, it looks something like that, and then at the top in the bold red, Model 1 pre-orders are now live. So let's while we're talking about the Model 1, let's dig into it just a little bit so people can kind of understand what's going on. And
Sure.
I'll make a couple of comments just right off the bat. One thing I appreciate is the style of the headband that you guys use on this particular headphone, as opposed to what I've got now, which is like a solid pad that ends up gluing itself to my head. And I don't like this style as much as what you guys have going on in this model, because you've got the leather or whatever material that is here with the pads, but it's not part of the springy metallic piece. So I really appreciate how this part is designed. That's a favorite for me. And then the microphone is also removable. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, cool. Because the idea here is that this is a piece of equipment that you can use multi-discipline, right? So this is not only for gaming, but the idea was to have a set of headphones that you could also use for critical listening if you wanted to. And then I suppose that if you wanted to, you could use these for WebEx meetings and Zooms and all that kind of stuff as well. So you pretty much have one set of headphones that you can put down, and you don't need to cycle through 3 or 4 different pieces of equipment that are kind of purpose built. This does everything and does it at a high level of quality. Is that the idea?
100%.
That's correct.
Cool. All right. Well, those are my initial thoughts. I've not seen this one in person yet, but I plan to one of these days. You guys got to come to some audio show that I'll be asked to see them. But let's jump in a little bit and talk about the technology.
Yeah. So go ahead, Vic, and tell the world what you've been doing.
Okay. Well, let's scroll back down if you don't mind. Back to the headband for a second. 50%. I like to say this, that 50% of the sound quality is from the fit and comfort. If it's uncomfortable, doesn't matter what the thing sounds like acoustically, you're not going to like it after 10-15 minutes.
Right.
So one of the things is that notch not only allows it not to touch the soft spot of your head, because if there's any pressure point there, it wears on you, And I think that's what you were kind of referring to there.
Sure.
There's
Oh, yeah, yeah.
it's a hot spot there, if you will.
Yeah, and I have
So-
no hair, so it's even worse.
Same.
So what you want to do is transfer the weight quickly onto that pad. Okay.
Right. That's here and here.
Right. And you want the weight to be on those. Yeah. And not touching the soft, so that the clamping force is not as high.
Makes
So
sense.
all we want is a clamping force to make sure that you get a good acoustic seal with the ear pads. So that's and this is pretty well articulated. I just wanted to show that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And it makes for comfortable gaming or music listening hours. We have somebody in the pro audio business that does 8 hours a day with headphones. Matter of fact, that person is now mixing his music over a long period of time on headphones, which is people aren't usually don't do that. They do it. Oh, he's got a pair of $30,000 monitors, and right now these headphones are better than his speakers. He says, I got to go up to the speakers to hear the detail.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so he's getting a better mix now. So he's doing it in reverse of what he's been doing, and actually it turns out better for him.
That's super cool.
Yeah. So okay. So as far as the acoustics, we spent a lot of time. I've got a little model here.
Let me blow you up so people can see it here. There you go, full screen.
Okay. Yeah. So we got a little model here. You can see we have a little indentation or depression here, so that it goes into your ear. Got a little ear model right here, and you can see that this goes in there like that, and we've got the ear pad here. So what a lot of people don't know is if you don't have headphones on, the sound arrives at your ear. It goes up into these little nooks and crannies, and then bounces into your ear canal. So there's a slight delay in the transfer of sound between there and the ear canal. Some sound goes directly in the ear canal, some bounces around. It's you do this and you know what that sounds like when you cup your hand. Well, this is what the ear does. It shapes the sound, it filters the sound, and it goes in the ear canal. So one of the things about having a speaker, I'm going to hold up, this is the driver plate that goes into it. So this is kind of, I don't have a cone in here, so this is not the actual speaker. But this is going to be sitting up against your ear like this, blasting into it. Okay, so you can imagine you got about half an inch there where it's got you're sitting right next to a speaker, and that sound is just kind of projecting straight in. That's not how we hear. If you take your headphones off, the sounds are coming from all kinds of different, like delayed, and our brain is pretty darn good at figuring this stuff out. And so that's why we can tell very small distance cues that are measured in, if you're 30 feet away and somebody moves about 2 feet one direction, you could kind of hear that subtle shift. And the sound comes towards your head, and it's the direct sound. And then the same sound coming from that direction wraps around your head, over your head, filtered around the hair and your facial structure, and comes here. There's a slight delay. It's a longer path to go to this here if the sound's coming from the opposite direction. And our brain is an amazing thing. It figures this stuff out. So that little 13 millimeter distance, that slight distance there, is critical. And so that's what our product we call Mike, what do we call it?
you call it the crosswave.
Crosswave. Thank you. All right. I'm so sorry. Sorry about that, folks. So crosswave. So in any event, that's what we do there, is to kind of shape the sound, slight delay in sound, and it reaches the ear more like we hear. Again,
that makes sense.
Okay. So that's what I have right now, other than the crosswave part.
Right on. So the magic is, obviously this is a set of dynamic headphones, high quality, but the magic really is the way you use the crosswave lens. And let me pull that up so folks can see that, to help introduce the appropriate delay in sound so that you can still get the correct spatial cues. Am I Am I saying that kind of right?
That's absolutely correct. There's also when we port that sound off the driver, it also is a bit of compression against the driver. In other words, there's a resistance because of where it's located, and also it changes the frequency response. So we use that to tailor the way the sound arrives at the ear, and also change the frequency response.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I want to clarify something because there's a lot of for those who maybe think that the crosswave technology actually adds a 3D effect. It does not. What it does, and I kind of want to maybe explain a little bit further, anything that comes from the source. For example, if we're playing a video game and the video game is actually outputting Dolby Atmos headphone, right?
Right.
And you're getting that audio analog into, through your, computer sound card, and you have it plugged in through a 3.5 millimeter cable, which is what we have. All that signal comes to the headset, and all we're doing is sort of opening it up a bit more, and we're enhancing it in the sense that we're not adding a digital enhancement. It's an acoustic enhancement that is completely complementary to what's happening upstream. So I just want to make that very clear, that we're not necessarily adding a 3D effect. What we're doing is allowing the 3D effect to come to the ear in a more natural way.
That makes sense.
That's critical because it's, in a sense, what it is. It's an improved interface between the speaker and the ear, right? The crosswave technology is improving that interface to allow and it doesn't have to be 3D audio. It could be just normal stereo. I mean, even with normal music listening or playing a movie soundtrack, or watching a movie or a video in Dolby Atmos or DTS, I mean, it's incredible. So I just want to, make sure to explain that, because the acoustic lens in of itself is not adding a 3D effect. In fact, you can look up, for those who want to, acoustic lens exists for speakers. Like, you can actually go to, and we've done on our YouTube channel, or we actually have an explanation of how the acoustic lenses work and how crosswave works. And, it's been used in speakers back in, I don't know, Vic, you can maybe talk a little bit about that, way back in the, 60s, 70s?
50s, 60s, and 70s.
Yeah, okay.
We don't have any pictures to show.
Yeah. But you can just Google it, and they look really weird. I mean, they would have them over, horn-loaded tweeters, or, things like that. It just does something to the sound so that it arrives in a particular way. And that's essentially what we're doing, but for headphones.
Right on. So I have homework now. I have to go look this up.
Yeah, exactly.
Because this is something I know absolutely nothing about.
I mean, Vic, maybe you could talk.
You're muted.
Vic got muted there, but I was going to say, Vic has an extensive background, and maybe we can touch on briefly, because I mean, all of this, where we're at now in this period of time, Vic is basically leveraging decades of experience and passion in building audio equipment. That's what got him into Apple. Prior to Apple, I mean, you talk about that, and not to Jaws. I just think, if that's something, I think your viewers would love to hear about, because it's a fascinating story.
Absolutely, let's hear it.
All right. Well, actually, I did a lot of work for designing radio equipment, and we decided to go into the audio business as part of the company that we started up here in Seattle, Washington. And we started off with audio accessories, high-end audio accessories, and then we decided my passion was building amplifiers and the like. And at the time, the solid-state amplifiers, transistor amplifiers, they were getting more and more powerful, but they really weren't sounding very good. Honestly, they're a little bit hard and brittle. So our passion was to go back into the vacuum tube designs, and so design some vacuum tube amplifiers. I could design in anything, but design some vacuum tube amplifiers, which got some critical acclaim in the high-end audio. And and that company was called Audio Prism. And so somewhere around 1998, we had I had a mutual friend that introduced me to Mark Levinson. I don't know if anybody knows who Mark Levinson is. Maybe if you have a Lexus, you might be familiar with the name. Or
Everyone knows Mark Levinson.
okay, so if you ever seen the high-end audio gear, that's the man, Mark Levinson. He came to us. He was intrigued with. Now here's a man that started the high-end audio business in 1972. This is, the 1960s was Fisher and Marantz, and then in about the early 70s when people started to recognize that, hey, there should be, there's a high-end business here, and so Mark went along for quite some time, and in the early 80s his business didn't do well, and so he lost his business there, and he moved on to a company called Cello, and Cello made some even higher end stuff, which is again critically acclaimed. He did that for 15 years, and again something happened to his business, and so he started another one called Red Rose Music. And for Red Rose Music, he thought he was going to do something different, and he really liked what we were doing with vacuum tube design. I don't think there's any pictures of it, but we've done some pretty high-end vacuum tube amplifiers, and it actually caught the eye of a guy by the name of Steve Jobs, who was one of our clients. And to make a long story short, we went along with Red Rose Music, and as Steve asked me to come give him a hand on some stuff, and so I joined Apple in about 2004. And actually, one of the first, we had lots of different audio projects going along, but one of my projects was I'll show you these things if anybody has seen these. We had to put some adult supervision on these little babies because the early ones were not as reliable, and so we had to. There's actually quite a bit of design work in these things, believe it or not. Even though you got them for free with a phone or an iPod at the time, they had to be subjected to a lot of abuse. So we focused on that, but we had lots of projects, everything from iPod type related projects to acoustic projects to the phone came about, and that was everything at Apple's done in secret. We got quite a few patents at Apple on some of the things that we were doing.
Very nice.
But then I retired in 2011, and met Mike because we were in the 3D audio software application, and I was doing business development at a company that he was working at, and that's how we met. So I've been in the 3D audio space internally at Apple, and by the way, now Apple's doing 3D audio. Well, I jump-started that baby back in 2006.
Took a little while for the egg to hatch, but finally.
Yeah. They didn't know what to do with it, honestly. I don't know what the deal was, but yeah. So we've been in that spatialized audio, looking into it for quite some time. We've been exploring it. Mike has worked in that space, and it's pretty good. It's really good. Awesome. There are two different types. I just want to touch on this real quick. There's really there's software out there to simulate spatialized audio, and then there's real object-based where they actually position the audio, engineer the audio, put that object in space here, whereas the other one is emulating that.
Right. So
it's not quite as accurate, but it does a good job. It's a fun thing, and there's a lot of headphones out there that are using software that's based like that. It's fun to listen to, may not be accurate.
That makes sense. And just to talk about your headphones, so your headphone is completely passive, right?
Absolutely.
And it's what, 32 ohms? Is that right?
That's correct.
And so what do you guys recommend as far as amplification for critical listening, right? So my assumption is that folks are not going to want to plug this into the 3.5 millimeter port on their PC to get the best sound possible. Maybe they'll even want to go external DAC or something like that. and then pipe this thing into a nice tube amp and listen. Any suggestions around what people might want to look at to really optimize this experience?
I'll give it a shot here. I'm actually using let me start over. It had to sound good on my trusty phone. Now, this is a very old iPhone. It's the iPhone 6S Plus.
I still got a port on it.
It has a headphone port, okay? Although, you could plug in a dongle. I use the Apple camera, just a lightning
Adapter,
to camera
yep.
adapter. And that gives you USB 3. And then I use the AudioQuest red and blue cobalt blue DAC.
The Dragonfly?
The Dragonfly, yeah.
Yeah.
And I've heard our headphones on very good amplifiers. I've got our amplifier here that I've designed myself, because I had to have a reference. And I've got a vacuum tube amplifier here also for reference. But my baseline is it's got to sound good on this, right? It has to sound good on a sound card coming out, because they're not very good. If you're just using the baseline card that comes with the machine, they're not. But we had to be able to. We wanted to be sure that our headphone could be easily driven, no excuses. It's going to sound as good as it can be from the sound card, and that was a criteria, plain and simple. So we focused on that, but absolutely these headphones deserve the best amplification without a doubt.
That's the incredible thing, Giles, because I will tell you this as someone who's used a lot of gaming headsets and other similar types of headphones. You wouldn't usually take a typical gaming headset and plug it into a very nice amplifier, and the reason being is it's just not a high fidelity piece of gear. As much as people would like to sell you,
absolutely true,
knowing that it is hi-fi, it's not. We wanted to upend that. This headset is completely scalable in terms of sound, where you can plug it into a very high-end amplifier. Vic actually has designed high-end amplifier. I mean, his speaker amplifiers, he has the reference speakers from from Red Rose Music, are $25,000 a piece, right? Monaural. Right. So this is the type of stuff Vic designs. Right. And so when he built his own, because he wasn't satisfied with the stuff he'd heard, he went and built his own headphone amp. And by the way, that's a possibility down the road. We're thinking that, that is something we want to look into. Nothing announced or anything, but we are keeping our eye on that sort of possibility.
Oh, I think that would be awesome to have a nice little tube amp. I mean, it could be small, simple, couple of tubes, warm up the sound a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah. See, there you go, Vic.
Well, there's another part is that there's obviously a lot of focus now on microphone quality. One of the criteria we wanted we built on the headset is streaming is obviously very much in vogue now, and it's going to continue going forward. We wanted to build you've got a what is that, a Shure
SM7B? Yeah, just the normal, the one everybody's got.
Okay, but we wanted to build a microphone that was you could use for streaming, that you wouldn't be embarrassed to use. I hope that I'm sounding okay.
Yeah,
we're not saying great.
We're not necessarily saying this will outdo, a high-end, professional mic, but this is something that if you wanted to use, let's say you didn't have one, or if you're in a bind and need to have one, and that it would hold up, right? And that you would be, as Vic said, proud to use and not be embarrassed, right? And that, that it would get somewhat decent broadcast quality. So that was kind of the target.
Well, so what I would see myself using that set of headphones for is, that's something I could stick in a backpack. And when I travel to Expona or I go to Cedia or whatever show I'm at, and I need to stream from there, it's difficult to take this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. But I could take that, and it doesn't even need phantom power. I could take like a little Zoom 8, plug that guy in and record my audio and have good enough audio. I mean, I think the microphone sounds great. People might not want to record, their music on it, but I think for streaming, you guys sound awesome. You sound.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't know that you could get much more quality out of this level of recording. So, that would be a perfect kind of device to take, and you could even use it on the airplane with your laptop and play
There
some
you go.
games and do
Right.
some stuff.
I,
Yeah,
I
because
am
it's
plugged.
close back. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm plugged into my MacBook Pro. Just
Yeah.
in the
And believe it or not, I'm plugged into a Sound Blaster.
Oh, there you go.
So it's not a high end here. I have plugged it in. I've tried it on like cord, amplifiers and things like that, and shit amps and stuff,
Uh-huh.
and so and Vic's actual reference, proprietary amp he's built for testing. And so, I mean, again, just to get, it works across the board with amps, but the better the amp, the better the experience. I will tell you that. So, but it's amazing even what we can do with just the stuff that's, on your phone or in your desktop. So.
I that's great. And I would think that, future products down the line, maybe the VZR DAC, right? And maybe the VZR tube amplifier, or maybe you make a integrated tube DAC amplifier DAC, that would be kind of cool too, and market it toward the high end gaming niche.
Exactly. Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
And because there's, I think, some level of vacuum there. Right?
Stay tuned, folks.
Yeah, there's some level of vacuum there that I think you guys could fill. And I would absolutely, for me, that would be appealing because I sit in front of this machine all the time, and where I can be flexible with my equipment, I absolutely want to do that because I've got like 4 different headphones that I cycle through to do different things all the time, right?
Right.
So these are the ones that I podcast with or live stream with just because they're comfortable. And they're just little monoprice headphones. I think the M500, so nothing super crazy, but I've got a pair of Hi-Fi Man. When I want to do critical listening, I slap those on and listen to that. And then I've got a pair of Yamahas that are my travel headphones right now because they've got all the technology stack built in for Bluetooth and all that stuff. And so I have all these different headphones to do all this different stuff. And if I could consolidate that down a little bit and be able to have a very high quality listening experience with the ability to integrate a microphone that's of enough quality that it works for me, and have it be comfortable and not look silly when I'm live streaming. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's cool. Absolutely. So let's take a second here and let's segue a little bit. I want to say hi to a few people that have jumped on. Hi-Fi Haven, thanks for joining in today. Glad to see you. Roy, what's going on? We got Brolic Media. So this is Matt. He is one of my buddies that's, neck deep, actually way deep in home theater and hi-fi, everything
Nice.
else. Man, there's a lot of chit chat going back and forth amongst everyone. But one question that we did have is the question that everybody asked, which is how much do these things cost? So let me see. I think we can go to this website, which should be up there. Shop now. So there's no secret. $349, which is a decent price. I was thinking these are gonna be like $9.99 or something.
Yeah, and we wanted to,
they wanted to go through $9.99, but they just
well, here's the thing. We wanted to. I mean, this is something fundamentally and philosophically that's in our DNA. We wanted to build something that would be, we like to say audiophile sound for all, to make it approachable for folks, to get an audiophile experience without breaking the bank. There's a lot of folks out there, myself included. I'm not a multimillionaire. I'm not, I'm just a guy who has a passion for audio and, want to be able to experience that sound. We want to democratize that audiophile experience and make it approachable without breaking the bank. And so that was the whole idea of building the VZR Model 1. And as you can see, we were able to pull it off by, making smart choices in terms of design. So we put a lot of emphasis on the acoustics, calling out certain things. Again, there's no stone unturned when it comes to this thing. Every screw is called out. The headband is built for a reason. We even have a patented technology that we filed on the microphone, the crosswave technology. As you can see, it comes with a hard case.
The case looks nice too.
Yeah, I mean, we were able to do a lot at that price range. We wanted people to, not necessarily feel like, hey, I'm spending $350 and we wanted it to make it worthwhile. Not only sound great, but also be functional and meet those requirements of that people need for not just gaming, but for professional audio production. and also critical listening.
Well, that's very cool. I know there are a few reviews out of the product already.
Mhm.
Maybe so. I would really, Roy. Yeah. So the question was, can I put up a link?
Sure.
I will put a link in. I think there's a link in the comments already on YouTube, but I'll make sure there are links to everything in the notes for the video. And the website is very easy. It's VZR Audio. So Victor Zulu Radio, I guess, audio.com. So it's easy to find that. And if you do a search for VZR headphones, it comes up as at the very top, so it's easy to find. But I will absolutely make sure to get those links up there so that everybody can find these. But yeah, this is super exciting. I mean, this is the kind of thing that I've wanted to find and have been unsuccessful. It's always been some level of compromise for me when it comes to headphones. If I've got critical listening headphones, they can't do anything but that, right? And then I need a pretty high end amplifier to make them function.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Or they come with a microphone, but the microphone's horrible, or they kill my head after about 30 minutes inside the headphones. I just can't deal with it for long term. And there are times where I'll keep these headphones on for 8 hours straight.
Yeah, exactly.
So they have to be comfortable. So this looks like it's a good mix of all those things at a level where it might not feel like you're compromising on anything. And if that's how it ends up being, when I put a pair of these on my head one day, that's going to be a pretty transcending experience.
Well,
everybody wants that transcendental experience, right?
I mean, that was a tough thing for us. I mean, we sat around internally, we realized, wow, so that's a tough sell, right? Telling people, hey, this can be, our philosophy is really, a headset is a headset, a headphone's a headphone. A gaming headphone, what makes a gaming headphone is this mic, which is removable, right?
Sure.
For the most part. When a headphone for pro audio, and a headphone for music listening and gaming can be done, and then so that was our goal, and so we hope that the folks out there agree with us.
Very cool. All right, well, we are going to once again shift gears just a little bit, and we're going to move to the next segment of the show that I call Content Corner. And I don't have my jingle queued up, so right now there's but I'm not doing it today. But this is a section of the show where we get to talk about the results of why we really get into all this gear, right? And some people get into the gear because they love the gear, but I get into the gear because I want to experience my content in a way that's compelling. And this is where we talk about the content. So there are two things that I want to call out to folks that they might want to check out or might not want to check out, just depending on what they think about what I say. But two new things for me over the last week. So one is I watched the new Schneider Army of the Dead, and this is it's streaming, right? And I believe it was on Netflix. And it was okay. I know there's a lot of Snyder fans after what he's done with DC recently, and they're like, "What? You can't talk bad about Snyder?" But this is me putting on my reviewer hat a little bit. But the movie was pretty derivative. It's like if you take The Walking Dead and mix it up with Ocean's 11, and it feels like folks sat down and they said, "What's your favorite movie?" I just like anything zombies. And what's your favorite movie? Oh, all the Oceans ones. I like it. Thief, Capers. They're like, okay, we're putting those together and we're going to make this movie. And then we'll give it the most predictable ending that's ever been predictable in a zombie movie ever, which was the ending of this movie. Now, that all being said, it was fun to watch. And, it was a great smash them up, shoot the guns, blow things up movie. So I was happy about that. A little sad about the quality of the streaming. And I saw a lot of people mention some of the same things I have. Somehow there is what appears to be dead pixels in the stream. So I thought that my projector was having some kind of problem because there's just like this one bright white dot, and
then
really? Then it would appear over here. Just like if you had a stuck pixel
On a
on your
TV.
LCD, right, or on a
Yeah.
TV, right? You have like a black background and then that one little pinprick. Well, it had a lot of that stuff going on. I was like, this is weird. I've not seen this one before. I've seen all kinds of streaming defects, but this is the first time I've seen that. And
Interesting.
I don't know if that was a streaming defect or if that was, or I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how that one gets in there. QA had to pick that up, or obviously they didn't. But come talk to
That's
me, Netflix. I
interesting.
can help you with that. Yeah. I would say this is if I had to give it the buy it or rent it or go see it in the theater kind of thing, I would say this is definitely a rental. I don't know that anybody's going to own this one long term. That being said, we have a distinct lack of content these days from a movie point of view, in big screen theatrical kind of stuff. So watch it. I mean, you'll enjoy it.
I was invited to see it actually, and wasn't able to because of the schedule. But yeah, I've been wanting to see that. Is that what Dave Bautista is in it?
Yeah, it's got Bautista.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, and he does a fine job in the movie. I rather enjoy watching him. I mean, the dude is just humongous. I mean, it's just crazy. I can't imagine the amount of work that he has to put in to keep himself in that kind of physical condition.
Amazing.
I mean, it's that's a laudable effort just to do that. And then, I wouldn't say that he's going to be winning Oscars or anything. But I mean, for the characters,
he's fun to watch. He's fun to watch.
He's fun to watch.
Love him at Drax.
Heck yeah.
Like Guardians and
Guardians of the Galaxy 1, 2, and 3's coming out like in 8 years from now or something. Which is another one of my pet peeves. I hate that. This past year there have been a lot of horrible things, but movie release schedules have been got destroyed along with everything else, which is sad because I like to have content. But no, I love to watch him. And watch him do his thing, and it's good. And I think one thing that he has the capability to do that we don't see quite as much as I think I would like to see from him is I think he does have that capacity to bring those emotional moments to a film. I think he's got that range in his repertoire, right? I think he can do that. And, he's this big, huge dude, right? And, you're not going to think like you're going to get the tear in that moment. But I think he does have that ability to do it. And hopefully he'll get more chances to do that down the line, right? So we'll see what roles he picks up and that kind of stuff. But that's exciting. So, yeah, I don't know. And my 2 thumbs up, that's, you can't do anything with it. And this is, you have to go see it. I don't know. It's like in here somewhere, it's a fun movie. It's go, if you're down here, then that's like, oh, don't do it. Right. So this is definitely, and you need to watch this range and you'll be entertained. But it's not like, bam, this is, I'm hoping that Dune, when that comes out a little bit later this year, is up like this. I love Frank Herbert, love Dune. And I hate that.
Denis Villeneuve, the director, right,
yes.
who did like I'm sorry, I was going to say Arrival.
Right.
And big difference, folks.
Yes, big difference.
Not the one with Charlie Sheen is what I say. But that was phenomenal. And the audio. Speaking of audio on that, I mean, not only is it a beautiful movie, Arrival, but the audio is amazing, absolutely amazing. In fact, I listened to that with our headset. And it's phenomenal, just the detail and all that. One other, if I may, there was, obviously the Chernobyl TV series that came out on HBO.
And I've not seen that one yet.
Not only do you have to watch it because it's probably one of the finest, what would you call it?
Documentary?
Episodic, short form episodic shows I've ever seen. But the composer, miniseries. The composer Hildur, and her last name is I think she's from Iceland, and it's very hard to pronounce. And I apologize.
Probably lots of E's and J's. Yeah.
But she actually incorporates some binaural recording and audio in her compositions, and she actually won. Believe it or not, she was historic actually. She won an Oscar, an Emmy, and a Grammy in the same year.
Oh, that's awesome! That's
right for different projects. For different projects, but she won an Oscar for the Joker. She did the score for the Joker, the one with Joaquin Phoenix, and then she did Chernobyl that same year. And I don't remember what the Grammy was for. If it was a Grammy or Golden Globe, I apologize. But anyway. amazing, and she incorporates binaural audio in her. So, one of the demo tracks I like to use actually is from Chernobyl, because you get these 3D effects that
That's
happen.
awesome.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. So, whenever I hear binaural, I always think about ASMR. And I don't know if you're familiar with that stuff, but I need to get a second microphone, and then my show's going to be welcome to the show.
Yeah, exactly. Just light a match or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
yeah.
oh no, that's cool. No, I'll have to. Yeah. The scissor. Oh, that's
yeah,
a good
exactly.
one.
Yeah, the virtual barber.
Get some soap and start cutting it. That can add the visual. No, that's cool. I'll have to check out Chernobyl. It's on my list.
Amazing.
But just I think a general piece of commentary around television. So for items outside of the theater, right? So stuff that you stream at home, watch on broadcast or whatnot, there's such a huge variety today. We really do live in what I consider to be the new golden age of television, because there's just so much content out there. And if you want to find something, you're going to have a smorgasbord of things to watch. I mean, everything from like Tiger King to Chernobyl,
exactly,
to animation, anime. I mean, it's a really good time to be consuming content.
Absolutely.
And there's been a lot of it consumed over the last year.
But to your point, that I wanted a side note here. Do you know that 85% of the audio content is consumed over headphones?
I believe it.
Whether it's a pair of these or what we're wearing. People are consuming their audio through headphones.
And I imagine that's even more prevalent outside of the United States than inside of the United States, because whenever I travel, particularly in Asia, because I take a lot of trips over there. My family, half my family's all in Asia, so we go visit the in-laws a lot. And I'll jump on mass transit, and there'll be 500 people all with some kind of phone all plugged into their head. And that, I mean, a lot of people, that's their primary means of consuming content. It's their phone and headphones. Right?
Well, and so if I may, just for a second, I don't want to take you too far off of what you're started off.
Sure, no, go for it.
Well, when they record, they're using a couple speakers across the console with 30 degrees off axis, so 60 degrees total in an equilateral triangle, right? That's the UTI setup, okay?
Right.
So a guy sets up, and if you know anything about how they record, most of the stuff is monaural tracks. It's just a bunch of tracks they assemble, and they assemble it, and they put this up on their speaker, and they have a phantom center generally, and that's the way it's heard. How does that translate to headphones? And so many headphones now, they sound great. They have they're lush sounding, they're everything, but they don't have the sound stage, or they have the imaging, or they don't project past your head.
Yeah, I just hate it when I put headphones on and it sounds like the head's like right in the middle of my head.
Yeah,
I don't want my sound to sound like it's inside my head. I want it to be where it's supposed to be still.
Well, that's what we're focused on here. I think when people put them on, especially pros, there's something different going on. What the heck is going on here? Because it sounds more like you're listening to speakers in the room. You'd have to hear it. It's more like it got engineered. It's more like it's right out in front.
Right. You guys should really think about, dropping by Rocky Mountain Audio Fest or the Home Entertainment Show in Long Beach, or Expona. I think it's in somewhere close to Indianapolis. I think that, you guys have a product that I think would be compelling to a lot of folks. They're going to be snobs there, like, oh, if you can plug a microphone into it, it's not for me, right? But
exactly, yeah.
But there'll still be a lot of, I know you can unplug it, but there'll be a lot of people like me that are like, does it sound good? Let's check this thing out, because I'm skeptical, and let's see what it's like on music, and then let's put a little Apex Legends in there and see, see if I can hear where the people are, because that proof's in the pudding, so to speak. But yeah, I would love to see you guys do some shows and come out.
That's definitely part of the plan, because that's in our DNA. Vic really more so in the sense that he comes from the audiophile background. He did the Rocky Mountain Audio Fest, and he's done CES. He's done a lot of these other hi-fi focus and audiophile shows. And we actually, as part of our research, went to a lot of these shows for years to listen to what is a good headphone, what we thought was a good headphones. And so, we love going to those shows to not only to, nerd out on all that cool stuff, but also, to kind of learn what is good sound out there. Because, I mean, philosophically, we want to, if you don't know what good is or don't have a reference point of what good sound is, even for headphones, then where do you start, right? And and by the way, that was our approach. A lot of these headsets, especially gaming headsets, they're not designed. The acoustics is actually not done by the company building them. They're usually done at the factories where they're buying this stuff from, and they're putting another label on it. That's not our approach.
I saw OEM or ODM kind of stuff, right? And
totally.
Make ours blue and put our logo screen print on the side.
So I just want to call that out. But also, anyway, I know, if you, as far as, any other of the content stuff, because I thought there was kind of a fun discussion.
Oh yeah. So
we can talk about that all day.
The only other piece I wanted to call out, and this is one that I'm actually enjoying with my kids right now. So I had an opportunity to, earlier this week, I went and hung out with a buddy of mine his name is Gabe, and he owns Echo Home Theater Association. Echo, it's just Echo here in Southern Colorado. And we were doing some unboxing and video review stuff on some sound bars and other equipment. And I come to find out, and I didn't really know this, but he's an illustrator, right? So he's done like comic book stuff and that kind of stuff. And as we were testing out these speakers, he pulled up Netflix, and I saw Voltron. And I remember Voltron when I was a kid. So it's like an 80s cartoon. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, hold on, what is that? And he's like, oh, that's Voltron. It's awesome. I'm like,
I should have worn my Voltron shirt. I got one.
Right on. I'm like, but no, that's not Voltron. That's way too new to be Voltron. He's like, no, there's a new series. I'm like, no. And apparently they are 8 seasons in on this thing already. And if this is your kind of thing, right? And this isn't for everybody, right? But I sat down with my boys yesterday, and we watched episode 1 and we watched episode 2 and 3. They're 30 minutes short, 21 minutes, whatever, after the cuts. And it's good. The animation's good. It's not too cheesy. It's still targeted toward adolescents, young children. So it's got a little cheese in there, but it's not too cheesy. And it brings back that feeling of nostalgia. I'm like, oh yeah, here come the lions, get together. Yeah,
exactly.
Anyway, so folks are want that are in the 40s, maybe early 50s, and maybe down to early 40s, maybe. And you have some of those memories of these golden age cartoons. That it's pretty cool, and it's really updated and stands up well now with the new animation. So those were my 2 items, and we got Chernobyl. Anything else, Mike or Vic, that you guys have experienced lately that you think other folks might enjoy?
If I may, and then I'll make this very brief. From a video game standpoint, I got to call out a few.
Oh yeah, games, totally.
So Ghost of Tsushima, I visited a friend of mine playing on the PlayStation 5 actually, and we were actually testing our headset. Oh my God, it was incredible because there's so much subtlety and detail. Not only is it a beautiful game, but the sound is absolutely spectacular. I mean, and what's cool about it is it uses the 3D audio that's utilized as part of the Tempest engine in PlayStation 5. So you're getting the full sort of 3D, because they're doing like ambisonics, they're doing some object-based audio as part of the MPEG-H, because the Sony 3D audio technology is based on MPEG-H standard, which is quite different than the Dolby Atmos standard, which is proprietary.
And which was a big kerfuffle for everybody when they were like, "Oh no, it's not going to be Atmos." They're like, "What?"
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm a fan for competition, not have monopolies, right?
Absolutely.
So anyway, yeah. So I was very impressed with that. I personally love. I'm a huge fan of Doom and the Doom series. Like,
nice.
I
remember original.
I'm dating
Doom.
myself here, folks, but Doom Eternal is pretty awesome. Even playing with 7.1, virtual 7.1. So you can, by the way, with our headset, you can use virtual software out there. So if you're playing, using either Dolby Atmos on Windows or Xbox 360 or Windows Sonic, for example, or any of the other stuff out there from, THX and Waves, for example, you can get add-ons software that'll virtualize 7.1. There's a number of solutions out there. We fully support that, and I dare say provide a more accurate and better experience with those virtual surrounds. Now, the last thing I want to mention about the future of game sound. I actually come from a game audio production background. I've worked on a few games back in the day for Pixar's Cars. I worked on motocross, MX Unleashed, MX versus ATV Unleashed when I was working for THQ. And I've had a passion. So I've sort of, looking at where things are going, video games are now the future of, I believe, audio, in the sense that you're now seeing things like with the Unreal 5 engine that was announced last year. They're now doing modeling of reverberation in the game, where they're doing complex geometry. So, for example, you're in a cave. Imagine the acoustics being modeled in that environment, right? And so, and doing it in ambisonics and doing it with object-based audio. So there's a reason why we didn't want to embed 3D spatial audio DSP in the headset, because we know that the trend is going more towards that stuff is being done in game. So it's not necessarily the headset that needs to do that. Think about this.
The software is going to change, right? And you'll have your headphones through multiple generations of technology.
Well, exactly. It's obsolete. The minute you put a DSP on a headset, it's obsolete, because video games are just purely software driven. And so you want the PC doing all the bulk of the computation, right? I know the people out there who obsess over graphics cards probably hate me for saying that, but you get better audio when it's being done on the computer as opposed to the headset. So just keep that in mind, that's a reason why we went passive, was we wanted to offload all that and get the very best 3D spatial audio outside of the headset, so that it's coming from, the computer or console.
Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, no, that's exciting. And, I'll have THX on the show in 2 or 3 weeks. I forget. And so I'll query them about that when they're on here too, and see what they've got to say about this cool stuff. All right. I think we're coming toward the end. And this is the section of the show that I like to call cleanup. And this is where I talk about some of the stuff that's coming pretty soon. So for those that are fans of the channel, the next big video that I'll have out will be a review of Atlantic Technology's new Gatecrasher 3 soundbar that uses the ska wireless technology. So this is similar to Sonos kind of stuff and that kind of thing, but it's typically been used in the pro arena more than what you would see in homes, but they have ported that into their tech. So I'll be going over that so you can see what that looks like. I'm also working on building a new Rune endpoint for my system. So here's a new little Raspberry Pi case, and this one's going to be a little bit different because I don't want to put a DAC in here because I'm going to use external DAC, but I need to get optical out for the DACs I want to use because they don't use USB. So I need to build this thing and then put the little hat on it so I can get optical. So that'll be something. I'll probably film that and stick it out so people can see what that looks like as well down the line. And with that,
very cool.
We are done. So Vic, Mike, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed the conversation, and you guys have really lit a fire in my mind around this product, because I didn't know that things could be as good as you're describing them for a that spherical kind of surround sound for gaming with headphones. So I'm excited to try that out and experience that. And I know if I'm excited about it, everybody else that's watching has got to be excited about it too. So thank you for that.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. All right, folks, everybody else out there, thank you for your time. Shameless plugs here. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the bell so that you'll be notified when new content drops. Also drop some comments down below, because YouTube loves to see people comment, and when they do, they show my stuff to more people. So it's up to you to make me popular. Thanks, guys. All right. And with that, as I always say, we'll see you guys in the next video.